day 21, and then the next hindrance of prayer that we want to discuss is the hindrance of our motives. And from James chapter 4 and verse 3 is where this comes from, and it says what?
Ye ask and receive not, because ye ask amiss, that ye may consume it upon your lusts. What does that mean?
Well, I think about this is that sometimes when we go to the Lord in prayer, we're asking Him things that we ask amiss, or it's not on the mark, it's not the right thing to ask for, because it's basically for our own selves. It's not for the will of God. It's not for something that would please and honor and glorify Him. It's just simply something I want, and it's not in God's plan or God's will for my life, and so we don't get it because it's not God's plan or God's best or God's will for us. So I think about the classic illustration that I would use in preaching is like the red Lamborghini, like someone praying they need a car, but they're asking for a red Lamborghini. Maybe what they need is a minivan or a station wagon or something like that. And the fact is we're asking things that aren't really needed in our life or aren't God's will for our life, just that we want Him to fulfill that lust or desire in our heart, that those are things that aren't going to get answered the way we want.
Have you ever prayed for something and then God hasn't given it to you, and then you've looked back and been thankful?
Yeah, I think the first thing I thought about was like when we started the church, there was like 53 people or 51 people that we prayed for every day that they would come from all over the country and help us start a church, and none of them came. And I don't know if that's because we stink or but I look at it now though, and like had any of those people came, it would have just made things different than what they were now. And I think I can clearly see now that was really an answer to prayer.
But that was just
Lord,
God's wisdom. That probably wasn't you wanting to consume it upon your lusts, but it was the way that you wanted it.
Right, it's the way I wanted it, and it wasn't the way it was supposed to be. I was going to say the positive of that side would be like, I know we've told the RV story already, but just the fact that like, you don't just pray and get an RV, and that's kind of where I was like, of course, who wouldn't want an RV? Like, go ahead, pray for it, like that's going to happen. But the fact is that we really needed an RV at that time in our life. And I think if we prayed for an RV today, God would say, no, you just want that so you can go camping. You want that for whatever reason. That's not what you need right now. And I don't think He would answer the prayer request in the same way for us today.
Right. And I think that just understanding that prayer is not for us to get a bunch of stuff. It's not just God's not our genie in a bottle and He just gives us whatever we want. Like, He's wise and He knows exactly what we need. And I think that the opposite of this is true. I was going to give an example of, this is stupid, but I believe God hears the prayers of children. I can remember being the biggest dork in 7th grade. And after my 80th day in a row of having an embarrassing moment, I remember laying in bed and being like, God, please make me popular. Please make me popular. I remember that. And I went to this tiny Christian school with 7 other people in my grade, so I don't know what that was going to mean. But God didn't make me popular.
He's in the upper 50th percentile or something.
He just didn't. And because I was asking amiss, because I wasn't asking for the right thing, and because I was desiring for that for me. It wasn't for God's glory. God, make me popular so I can win so many people to Jesus. It was God, please make me popular so that people will like me and I won't feel like a loser every day. And God didn't, but I think that was a refining fire for me. And I've said so many times that God, I was born a dork and was a dork for so many years. Because I relate to so many people for the Lord. I mean, I was never super cool. So anyway, it was for God's glory. But I was going to say that I think that the opposite of this is true. So if you're asking for God's glory, things, I think that you don't get things that you're asking for yourself. God says, no, you're not even wanting to do this for me. But when we do ask for things for God's glory, we get so much more than we would if we just weren't asking. It's not well, then why even ask if I don't get stuff that I want? But when we ask things for God's glory and we ask for those spiritual needs, it's God is just dumping blessings on us all the time. So, and just left and right, we see answers to prayer. So, hindrance to prayer being wrong motives. Maybe that's a good test. If you're praying for something, it's really so good to track our prayer requests in these things, because we can kind of, if you've been praying for something for a really long time, and then you can look and see, am I wanting this for me? Is this why is God not answering this? You what does the verse say? You ask and receive not, because ye ask amiss, that ye may consume it upon your lust. But a lot of times we don't have what we've asked for because God has said no for our own good. So many times the things that we ask for, we can be thankful that God didn't answer, because he's wise and he loves us. But also he might just be working in that way, and it might not be his timing, and he's saying not right now. So anyway, wrong motives. Check your motives. Day number 20
something. 1.
Day number 21